I want to talk about an important and useful feature in PHP called traits. Traits are something similar to classes, but they're not exactly the same. I want to show a small example that will demonstrate the difference and when it's appropriate to use traits. So what I have here is a simple program defining two classes. 1. TV. 2. Camera. The TV class has a function called playVideo that echoes playing video. The camera class has a function called takePhoto that echoes taking photo. I then created an object of the TV class and ran its playVideo method, and an object of the camera class and ran its takePhoto method. If we run this program, we indeed see playing video, which we got from the TV, and then taking photo, which we got from the camera. Now, let's say that we want to introduce a third class, a smartphone class. I want the smartphone to have the exact same functionality we had with our TV, i.e., to play a video. After all, it makes sense, right? A smartphone should be able to play video. So I want this function to also be in the smartphone. What I'll do is copy the code for this function, and then I can create a smartphone object and run the function there too. So it works fine. But the problem here is that we have code duplication. We wrote the same function twice, once in the TV class and once in the smartphone class. This is problematic because if I want to change the functionality of the play video function, I will have to change it in more than one place, and that's never good. So, what's often done in these cases, when we have two classes with shared functionality, is to use inheritance. What I want to do is write a new class, and it will be a parent class. Both the TV and the smartphone will inherit from it, and it will hold the functionality of play video. That way, both the TV and the smartphone can use it. So let's call this new class Video Player. We want the new class, the Video Player class, to be able to play video. Of course, I no longer need it in the TV or the smartphone. Instead of implementing it in both classes, they can simply inherit from it. So let's modify these two classes so that they extend Video Player. Now, when I run the program, it works the same way. But the play video function is only implemented in one place, and both objects, the TV and the smartphone, are using the same implementation. But now I want to add more functionality to my smartphone. I want it to also be able to take a photo, just like a camera. So what might make sense to do is exactly what we did before. Create some kind of parent class and place the functionality of taking a photo in the parent class. This way, both the camera and the smartphone will inherit from the same parent class. So let's try to do that. Let's define a class and call it PhotoTaker, meaning something that knows how to take a photo. We'll try moving the takePhoto function into this new class. At first glance, it seems we're on the right track, because now we can have the camera class extend the PhotoTaker class. The camera will inherit from PhotoTaker, and we won't need to implement takePhoto directly in the camera class. But here's the problem. The smartphone won't be able to extend the PhotoTaker class. If I try to extend both the Video Player and the PhotoTaker classes, I'll get an error because PHP doesn't support multiple inheritance. The moment I try to extend more than one class, PHP throws an error, and it won't work. So to summarize where we're at, we have three classes: TV, camera, and smartphone. The smartphone shares some functionality with the TV and some with the camera, but the TV and the camera don't share anything in common. Therefore, we can't use a single inheritance structure that solves everything, because the TV doesn't need the functionality for taking photos, and the camera doesn't need video playback. For exactly this kind of situation, PHP has a concept called traits, which helps solve these problems. To use traits instead of the failed attempt at multiple inheritance, we only need to make some minor changes. We replace these two classes, which hold the shared functionality, and turn them into traits. Once they are traits, we can no longer extend them because extend only works with classes, not traits. So we need to remove the extend statements. Then the question arises, how do we use the functionality defined in a trait? The answer is by using a keyword called use. We write use within the class that needs the functionality provided by the trait. For example, in the TV class, I want to use the functionality from the Video Player trait. So inside the TV class, I'll write Use Video Player. Once I do this, an object of type TV will be able to use all the functionality of the video player trait, and thus a TV object can call the Play Video method. Similarly, in the camera class, I want to use the functionality from the Photo Taker trait. So inside the camera class, I'll write Use Photo Taker. What about the smartphone? The smartphone needs both the functionality of the video player and the photo taker. So I'll write Use for both traits in the smartphone class. This is allowed in PHP, unlike extending multiple classes, which isn't permitted. Now I have a TV object, a camera object, and a smartphone object. Notice that now the smartphone can both play videos and take photos. We can see that the TV played the video, the camera took the photo, and the smartphone did both. It played a video and took a photo.